Hey, hey, Facebook world, how are you? Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome again to another session of Francis. Chat with Francis. I always change it. But today, I'm just waiting for my guest. She's coming. And yeah, how are you guys? I just want to make sure. I want to say hi to everyone. I'm not sure if you're there. And if you're going to watch this live, please put hashtag live and say hi in the comment section. And if you are going to watch this on replay, please say hi in the comment section too. We would love to know who you are, where you're from, and your takeaways with our talk today. So today I was like, I'm really privileged to have a chat with Christine because I think lots of people are silent sufferers of this condition. And yeah, like I mean, and it is deemed incurable. It says to be incurable. And And people would say when you're being said, you're being told that it's incurable, people do lose hope, right? And in this kind of a condition, sometimes people that you love the most, or even the medical professionals that's supposed to take care of you, will say to you that it's all in your head. And yeah, like, I mean, people do suffer without really anything for them, and not everybody believes them. And yeah, so if we're talking about the chronic pain that is associated with fibromyalgia, and it's just different. And hopefully, if you are one who suffers this condition, or if you know somebody who actually suffers this, hopefully, what do you call this one? This could help. And I always have my video on private. Okay, there you go. Hey, Christine.
Hi,
Hi.
Frances. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too. You know what? I was like rambling around and rambling about talking to them about our talk today, and then I
Mhm,
realized that my Facebook profile, because we're streaming in my Facebook profile, my
mhm.
mini that is quiet. I just housed
Right?
the internet over there. But there are some amazing souls who stayed. I made that one 2 years ago when I was doing Pinterest management. I made a boot camp about it. And there's like 100 people there that sometimes they still watch. Thank you so much. Amazing, amazing people. And yeah, welcome, Christine.
Thank
And
you so much, Frances. It's great to talk to you.
yeah, I'm so excited. I was like, what do you call this one? So yeah, I was like talking to our friends. I'm not sure if anybody will be watching today or in the replays. Most of them do watch on replays, and
Replay is great.
I know, right? Like, I mean, I have to tag somebody. Oh, Colette, I have to tag you, Colette, if you're not here yet, because she did say to tag her when we start.
Mhm.
So I was like, just like rambling my head off about how important this share today is, because lots of people might be suffering in silence. And with as I've seen in your post and in the shares in our mastermind, that with this kind of condition, fibromyalgia, people would even think that you're just making it up.
A lot of people's friends and families, their coworkers, don't really believe they're sick because the thing is, we look fine. But I mean, everybody knows that we can have a cold, we can have a sore anything, and we can look fine. We don't always look sick when we feel sick. And unfortunately, when you've got fibromyalgia, you almost never look sick.
That is sad. Hi
Yeah,
everyone. I'll cut you over there because I never even introduced you. We just like
right.
boom to the chat
Just boom.
because
You don't
because
need to introduce me. I know you.
well, I want to introduce you properly to my friends. Hi everybody. Welcome again, to friends. I started this passion project from last year, actually, 2 days before New Year. And thank you so much. We have a little bit of some sessions, and I've changed the name so many times, but the goal is the same, is to actually present and introduce and share in my own little meta world amazing entrepreneur and the human behind their business. So yeah, right. Like I mean, most of us like have the very professional stuff online, and I wanted to share with them, the human behind, so they will know. Hello, I'm seeing three viewers. Please say hi in the comment section. We want to know who you are, where you're from, and thank you so much for actually jumping in. Christine is a fibro coach. And we're going to talk about that. But I know that she's also a, please correct me if I'm wrong, magnetic mind coach.
That's right. That's right.
Yes. I was so happy for you for that because yeah, so what I'm hearing and seeing in your post is that healing doesn't just constitute of one factor, and
Mhm.
we're gonna share something about that today. Hopefully, you guys would gain so much. I mean, take advantage that you're actually here. And Christine, are we allowed to ask questions in the
You can
comment
ask me
section?
anything you want. I don't keep secrets. There's a lot of things in my life that used to be at one point kind of scary for me or shameful, but I've healed it now enough that I can talk about whatever it was that has happened to me over the years that probably made me sick. And so it's really important that other people who might be suffering some of these things are able to hear another person get to a place where it's okay to talk about it. It makes you feel safe that other people have survived this. So by all means, I'm perfectly open to talk about any of the things that happened to me.
Thank you so much because and it's brave of you. I mean, that's like being vulnerable. Ha, sorry, Filipino tongue, but vulnerable to share your truth is
Yeah,
amazing, and especially online. Like I mean, we don't know who needs to hear it, and yeah.
exactly. Exactly. And I find online not as scary as I would having to go and stand in front of a live audience. That to me is a little intimidating. But to be in my own office, with my dog next to me and sitting in comfortable clothes with my hair not having to look perfect, I feel quite comfortable like that. So, I'll talk about whatever people need to hear about. So.
So happy. And with all the comfy clothes and hair not perfect, I'm so, you know me, always imperfect.
Well, you
Imperfect
may
action,
see perfection, but
right?
but you know what? 20 years of being really sick kind of makes you forget about perfection.
20 years. Yeah.
Yeah,
Before
yeah.
we dive into that, I do have the standard question that I ask my guest, and I hope you're ready because
I'm
I know I
ready.
didn't, I didn't,
You
I
didn't
didn't
tell me
send
what
you
it
any
tomorrow, but that's
questions, right?
okay.
Yeah. So okay, number one, just for fun and just for icebreaker, can you tell us one thing about you that most people doesn't know about?
Well, most people don't know that I love unicorns and dragons, but I do. There's something about the magic of them, and it doesn't matter that they're make believe or not. There's something about the magic and the myth of them that I really, really enjoy. And something that more people know about me than that is that I got to spend 20 years in Hawaii. And speaking of magic, Hawaii is pretty magic. And so I had the benefit of living that magical experience for real. So that's a big deal to me.
I love it. Thank you so much. I just want to acknowledge Anne and Colette. Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, because I promised Colette to tag her. And Anne, hi. Whoa, she's not sleeping because she's from the Philippines. She's one of the power mamas that I have actually interviewed in this mini container. Even Colette, actually,
Mhm.
thank you.
Oh, Colette is here. Hello, Colette.
Yeah, she's here. And unicorns and dragons. I've always loved dragons.
Yes, unicorns and dragons and Hawaii.
Hawaii. I've always wanted to go to Hawaii. My cousin have been there. And I know it should be like the Philippines, they said, but there's just something about Hawaii that's different.
Yeah,
And I'm sure it will be different. Every country that we've been through, I'm
every
sure it's
country.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah. So let's talk about our main topic because I wanted to respect your time and respect our friends' time. So when we met, and our amazing membership that we have been. Thank you so much, Non-BS Mentor, for that container because I've met so many amazing classmates that I've turned into friends too. Anyway, just a shout out. Anyway,
and
um,
we're not all moms.
yeah. So it has been evolving too, right? So I was just like wondering because I realized in your profile, like you have been in this space for a bit, but I think right now you really have been showing up more as a somebody who really wanted to create a disruption in the stigma about chronic pain and fibromyalgia and just calling out this. Like I realized in my research that CDC said, oh, even in just in states, 4% of a population of adult population is actually suffering from fibromyalgia, and even kids or children could
Even
suffer it too.
kids. Yeah,
And I was like, oh my goodness. And being told maybe at that young age that what you're suffering is incurable. I mean, mentally, emotionally, and well, physically, you're really
yeah.
experiencing it. Must be so hard. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the journey of when it started, what changed, and what made you be an advocate that you can actually heal it. It's not
Yeah.
curable, maybe, but you could actually heal it.
I'm not sure when my fibromyalgia actually started. When I was diagnosed was in 1997, and by then I had been off work for a full year. So I was already, completely crashed and completely sick full time for a year before I had any idea what it was that was wrong with me. And the process of being diagnosed is that they rule out other things that could be wrong. So they test you for all of the things that they can test for, and find out, say that you don't have MS, you don't have Parkinson's, there's a lot, you don't have lupus. So there's a lot of autoimmune and other diseases that they can decide that you don't have. And most of those are related to pain and fatigue. So they write those off, and those are good things not to have. Um, but it doesn't really tell you absolutely for sure what you do have. What they do is there's a series of guidelines that different countries use. And the countries don't all use the same guidelines because everybody has their own medical system. And all of the medical systems can sort of figure out on their own what they want to do. When there's a really definitive cause for something and set of reasons why we're sick and symptoms for them, then there can be one procedure. But when there isn't that, when an illness is not understood, then the best they can do is guidelines. And one of the things that I was diagnosed on was trigger points, and they would touch a combination of 18 different places on the body. And if you were sick or if you were very sore in 11 of the 18 places, then they said you had fibromyalgia. And I tested for 18 out of 18. So it was completely widespread, left, right, top, bottom of body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, my background before is like I was a medical technologist back home. So I get those guidelines, the test, all the tests.
Yeah.
So it's like yeah, if you take this one, I think sometimes I think what we have in the medical system is just like, okay, she has this.
Yeah.
yep, she have this. Okay, she have this. Okay, she doesn't have this. So this
Yeah.
isn't. And then they could actually go to a, oh, this is a medical condition that they have. But then again, with that one, you could actually have lots of tests again in different departments. Wow, that must have been a frustrating and
It
kind
was
of,
very frustrating, and the initial symptoms I had were a combination of pain and fatigue and emotional problems. I was very depressed. I was very anxious. I was scared to death, basically. And I wasn't afraid of my pain. I had been in a sexual harassment situation at work. And so that was what triggered my illness. I was going through all of this, and there's all of the rest of your life is going on at the same time. And it just stressed me out completely. And so I completely crashed crying, and just so depressed I wasn't able to work, but also in pain. And so they first thought that I had a breakdown, because like that was what was obvious. It was obvious that Christine is unhappy, Christine is crying, Christine is scared. Um, and the other stuff wasn't obvious. And so it took a whole year to figure it out. So I was pretty much convinced I was crazy by the time I had a diagnosis of an actual physical condition.
oh, wow. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry to hear that because I've seen people around me that they just don't understand what's happening. Maybe they do have fibromyalgia. We don't even know.
I
Like, for
don't even know.
example, back in the Philippines, I don't think we do all of the tests unless you are in the main hospitals. You have the main,
Yeah.
like, like you have to travel. Hi, Coach Margine. Hello, Colette. Such a great info, even though I don't have fibro. Yeah, I mean, I really was excited with this talk because I really wanted to hear. I mean, it's one thing to read about it. Like I could do all my research. As our mentor said, my profile is 1-3. I get to be investigate and really go deep, deep, deep into a subject. But talking about it like this is kind of like different.
Yeah.
Even the just the vibe is different. Thank you, Christine.
Oh, you're
So,
very welcome.
question. So what I'm hearing is that at trauma is actually one of the factors that could trigger um, fibromyalgia.
It is a trauma, an accident. Sometimes a car accident will cause it. So it can be a physical trauma. It can be an emotional trauma. It can be certainly be a sexual trauma. So any of these things that can cause it. It can be a strictly emotional trauma. It's when our body is unable to cope. Um, it reacts in so many different ways. So if we're emotionally overloaded, if we're spiritually overloaded, if we've been going through all of these insults to our soul and we feel unvalued, unrespected, then that can be enough to make us just break down. And we get so many insults to our souls these days with racism, with sexism, ageism. There's all of these things that make us believe that people don't accept us for who we are because of who we are. And when we're so rejected so deeply, it can be very, very disturbing. And so it makes us hyper vigilant all the time, constantly on the lookout. We can't rest, we can't sleep well, so we're exhausted. Our immune system goes out of whack, so many things start going wrong. And our bodies literally cry out for help. And I think that, in my case, that's what the pain was me just saying, do something, do something, do something. But of course, I had no idea what to do.
Wow, because yeah, I mean, then I realized I have to ask this question just now. As you have noticed, most of my interviews, just like now, I don't have any structure. People said have a structure because you have set of questions, but I try. I think my questions are more. So if you're saying that this trauma, this racism, this like this could trigger, except for the accidents, of course, that's
Yeah.
something that we can't control. So basically, what I'm hearing is that fibromyalgia is more of like an something that is triggered by outside force mostly, and it's not really like a. Is it? Can
It's
someone maybe?
partially triggered by outside forces. Okay, to go back in my own case, I had several experiences of trauma over my life. And the first started when I was only 4. I was sexually abused as a child. So later on, I was in a marriage that had domestic violence. And then later on, I was in a work situation with sexual harassment. And so these incidents kind of build on each other as you go through life. And I finally had my last sexual abuse when I was 60, and I was raped at 60. And so those are all external things that happen. But when the very first one happened, I started building beliefs about myself. So, at 4, when something happens to you that you really don't understand, I physically escaped from my body. I didn't stay in my body and experience it. I was up on the ceiling playing with balloons. So I knew that whatever happened to me had to be really awful because I couldn't stay, and so I didn't understand what happened, but I knew that I had to leave it. And so I felt shame about this non-thing that I
Yeah.
had no comprehension of. And it caused me to attract more things into my life that were related because somehow I believed that I deserved it. And it's not conscious. None of that is conscious. These are just beliefs that our little kid makes up to cope. And we do that all of the time. We spend our entire lives making up identity beliefs about ourselves. And so it's really important that we learn to change those beliefs. And because they're unconscious, we aren't aware that we have them. So a lot of people, when you say, you need to look at your mindset and change your beliefs, they say, well, I'm perfectly healthy. Mentally, I'm fine. And well, yeah, our minds are working perfectly because that's what they need to do to cope, to help us get through a situation. But we want our minds to also work with us every day and not doing that kind of coping that actually causes more stresses to our body. So when we start giving ourselves healthy ongoing beliefs, then we can start attracting good things into our life again. And we need to make that shift, even though we have no idea that we're doing something different, because that's what the unconscious does. It's unconscious.
And that leads me to my point of, at what point of this, like you mean events? I'm sure, like it's as you said, it's unconscious and stuff. What changed? What point in your life changed, and you say enough? Like I mean, what woke you up from this slumber? Because if I hear it really, you don't think about it, but
No.
you've made up, like I mean, and yeah, as you said, we're coping, like we made up things to
Yeah.
cope because that's how our mind, or something in us actually protects us. If
Yes,
it's a,
exactly.
a sense of protection, right? So throughout your journey, you're suffering this for what, 20 years, more than 20
More than
years?
20 more than 20 years before I actually got well. But I started being interested in things that were spiritual and in different kinds of healing soon when I got into Hawaii, because that was just such, it was around me. It was available, it was wonderful. And so I started looking at those things kind of separately from actually being sick. It was more of an interest that I had than this might help me. It
Mhm.
was, well, this is really interesting. I could try massage. There was just all these things that I could try. And it didn't occur to me that they would heal me, just that they were somehow beneficial, helpful, interesting, and pleasant. And so I was going towards pleasant more than I was going towards healing.
Good way to start a healing journey.
It is a good way to start a healing journey. And part of the place that I landed in was a spiritual healing church. And so I learned all kinds of things that were totally outside of my Catholic upbringing. I started learning about things like chakra systems and the fact that we're energy and how energy works. And that was all, completely new to me, because I saw myself as a person with a soul. And, in this soul, I used to do, if I did something bad, then there would be a stain on my soul, and that was about the extent of it, and if I was really bad, then my soul was going to go to hell. And if I was good, then my soul would it would enjoy heaven. Um, but that changed when I got into Hawaii and started to actually experience life in a much more spiritual way. And so I think it was because it was so beautiful. I was surrounded by beauty, by mountains, volcanoes. I lived my life in awe. It was
Right.
like it was just so spectacular around me. I swam with sea turtles, played with manta rays, I'd go swimming and there'd be an octopus, and
Yeah.
it'd stick on my arm. It was like, oh, I was just constantly excited about all of those things. And so that was very, very special. And it just opened me up to looking at the world in a very different way. And I looked at it with awe and with love. Um, and
You were
that
meant to go to Hawaii.
I was born to go to Hawaii. Yeah, it was like, and as far as I'm concerned, it was worth getting sick. It was worth everything to go and be there and experience what I experienced.
I can feel the magic of Hawaii right now. Well,
One day
you
we'll
you
be
met.
a successful businesswomen and we'll plan a conference in Hawaii.
Why not?
Why
I would
not?
love that because yeah, that's one of the places really that is the word ohana from
Yes.
Hawaii?
Yes, family. That's family.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's family. So that was when the healing started. Pleasant. You mentioned massage. I actually miss massage.
Yes, I
It's so
miss massage.
expensive here in Canada.
Yes.
I used to have a massage every week back home. Oh my goodness, that's one thing that I miss.
Yes.
And yeah, I'm born Catholic. Philippines is a Catholic country, so I understand that concept. But I think I'm glad that I think there's some change in that too.
Yes.
They're teaching a different way now, which is
Yes. Oh
I
yeah.
think
I mean, I'm
more
a lot
spiritual,
older than
better.
you. So
Yeah. Yes. So So Hawaii was when pleasant things, pleasure things that was like just because it's there. And that started your healing. And that started your journey of healing. And so spirituality helped a lot.
Yeah.
Being in a magical place helped a lot.
Helps. Yes. Starting to be treated by a psychologist or a psychiatrist helped a lot because I was learning about my beliefs and how the beliefs could really change the results that were possible for us.
Nice. So how many years? Uh, how
I
many
was
years was
work
it?
disabled for 20 years before I moved back to Nova Scotia. And what happened was that my mom got sick.
Oh
And
yeah.
when my mom got sick, it was, well, you got to go home. I mean, she didn't say, I got to go home. I said, I've got to go home. And she had dementia. So I was starting to detect in our phone conversations that her personality was changing and that it was like, if I don't go now, then, I mightn't get to experience really being with her. And so it was important to me that I went when I did. And so I was there. I lived with her for 3 months before she ended up in the hospital. And she had a fall one night during my care and ended up in the hospital. And she never made it home from the hospital. She went to a nursing home where she was for another 12 months. And then she died on Christmas Day, a year after that. So, and she suffered a lot. She was in a lot of pain. She had bed sores, because she was restricted, and and the dementia. The combination of watching her suffer was really, really difficult. And people with fibromyalgia say it's the worst thing that can happen to you. Um, But I think humans tend to have the idea that whatever bad thing is happening to us is the worst thing that can happen. And fibromyalgia is tough. Pain is tough. Being tired and sick is tough. But watching someone you love disappear into themselves is every bit as tough as hurting yourself. You know, yeah, love hurts. And when you
Yeah.
watch someone that you love really suffer, I mean, nobody can tell me that a parent with a sick child or a dying child suffers less than someone with fibromyalgia. I'm sorry, I don't buy that. As much as I know people really suffer with fibromyalgia, and I know that it's because it's not understood, because we aren't believed when we have it. Like there's a lot of reasons that make it misunderstood, that make it really hard to cope with. But that doesn't mean it's the worst thing that can happen to us. Bless you.
Remember in our calls, I have this coughing fits.
Yes.
Sorry. Wow. Like, I mean, okay. So much of your, sorry. See, people of the world, that's what live videos do. We can't edit that out. Like, I mean, yeah, I do have some coffee fits still, but I'm C C free because I just tested myself. Anyway, enough of
Yeah.
that rambling. My point is that, you know what? Watching somebody suffer in real time, I can relate in a way that I've watched my grandparents did that
Yes.
before I came here. My grandma did pass before I came here. I saw my cousin, young cousin, died in front of my eyes. We were the one holding
Mm,
him in his hospital bed. And like I mean, it's not my parents. Well, I just lost my dad. I'm not there for him, but yeah, watching them suffer, the one that you love, is a different kind of pain.
yeah. It's a different, yeah. And it's deep.
Yeah, it's like, but I mean, if you are suffering from fibromyalgia and you suffer this with your mom, I'm so sorry to hear about that again. Um, I think in one of your posts, is it the wake up call, like another touch point of a wake up call for you to really work on yourself, to actually do
Exactly.
something?
Because the other thing that happened just before my mom died, I turned 65. So mom was a senior when my dad died. And so here I am. My mom had just died of dementia, and I'm 65. I'm the oldest in the family. So theoretically, even if there was nothing wrong with me, I'm the next one up to die because I'm the oldest kid, right? And so it's like, is that how I want to die? Do I want to die like my mom did, suffering and in pain constantly? Clearly, no. And so it was, I have to do something, and I have to do something now to change my life, to give myself a really good experience of life now. And I decided that I was going to make the next part of my life the best. And and I knew that I wasn't going home to Hawaii to do that. I knew I was staying in Nova Scotia, and I just needed to make the next part of my life the best. And so I set out to do that, not knowing really what I was going to do. I didn't set out to coach. I kind of set out first. It was like, well, I'm going to do something online. That was all I knew, is that I didn't want to go to a job because jobs hadn't been really good to me. And I thought, well, I'm not going to work with people too close. I'm going to keep people at a distance by doing something online. And then, of course, COVID came along, and one could study, one could coach, one could do any number of things online. And so that opened a wider set of options to me. And I decided that I had been coached in the past. Coaching was how I got to Hawaii. One of Canada's most famous coaches, Bob Proctor from The Secret, was my first coach. And
Mm.
so I got to Hawaii by using techniques that I learned from Bob Proctor. So I thought, okay, that's the first thing I'm going to do, is I'm going to learn how to coach. And I thought that I wanted to work with women like me. So that would either be women with pain and fatigue, or women who had had trauma, but I hadn't really decided what. And then I got better. And as I got better, it was, well, clearly I am going to teach people to do what I just did. And so I started documenting what was working for me, what wasn't working for me, what beliefs I had changed, what habits I had changed. And so the process started.
Question. Because somebody who might have heard from a medical doctor
Mm-hmm.
that this thing is incurable, you can just manage it. Um, like when you hear that from a person of authority,
Yes.
without you knowing, without you even doing your research, without some people just go to a doctor and just wait for a diagnosis,
Yes.
right? So
And they think that only a doctor can help them.
yeah, and hearing that that okay, it's incurable. You can just manage it with pills, with with Colette said, love Bob Proctor. Yeah, I've watched The Secret when I was in high school. The thing is, I'm so young that I didn't do anything about it. Watched the movie and read the book. But I guess I was just like so young. I was like, okay, it's a nice thing to watch and stuff. But I realized I like him too, and I actually learned more.
Yeah.
But anyway, what was I was like saying? Oh yeah, how hard or how easy it is to make people understand who are suffering this and be open that it is possible for them to heal themselves. Because like
It's
for
not easy to convince people that they can heal themselves, because you're absolutely right. When you tell somebody it's incurable, um, it's easier to believe that it's incurable than to believe that we're broken and we just can't fix ourselves. It's an answer. Okay, this is what's wrong and this is why it's wrong. Um, but the reality is that medicine has only been curing people for hundreds of years. You know, humans have healed themselves and each other for millennia. And humans can only do so much towards changing our habits. You know, we go to visit a doctor, we get advice from a doctor, we get medication or possibly surgery from a doctor, but we're the ones who actually select the food we're going to eat. We decide whether we're going to eat sugar and flour and fat, or we're going to eat healthy fruits and vegetables. You know, that's a choice we make. We're the ones who decide if we're going to go to bed early and sleep well in the dark in a cool temperature without our devices on, or we're going to stay up all night with our phones. These are decisions that we make. We decide whether we're going to change our beliefs so that we're believing that we are empowered, that we're creative beings, and that we can make our own decision and make our own paths in life. Um, Doctors don't get to do that for us. They encourage us. They
Mhm.
encourage us to make lifestyle choices. And a lot of people are insulted when they're told that they just need to make lifestyle choices. People will say, well, my doctor just said to lose weight. Well, you know, that might be because the pills that he put you on made you gain 50 pounds, you know, and that often happens with fibromyalgia because many of the pills do cause us to gain weight. And, you know, so one thing makes another worse, like it helps you in one way, but it puts all this extra weight on, which puts all this extra pressure on. Um, so, you know, doctors can only do so much. Like if you've got something that's broken and needs to be removed. You know, if your appendix ruptures and you need it taken out, that works. But there's so many things that a doctor just cannot fix for us. You know, they do so much that's wonderful. And through COVID, you know,
Yeah.
because of all of the testing and the vaccines, and, you know, some people hate all of that, but still, there is much good they do, but they cannot do everything. And we have to be responsible for our own lives. You know, making anyone outside of us responsible for our life is a mistake. From my perspective, because really, who else should we trust more than we trust ourselves? Um, to live well, to live healthy, and to live in a way that's going to cause us to get what we want.
That's actually thought provoking because, like, it's just so easy to just pop the pill.
Oh, so easy. And the thing that happened 15, 20 years ago now is that the opioid crisis came upon us. And all of a sudden, those pills that we were all really used to popping became no longer available. Doctors weren't allowed to prescribe painkillers,
Yeah.
because there were so many dangerous ones. And so some people started using street drugs. They couldn't get them from the doctor, and so they turned to the street. And so they are now, part of the opioid crisis. So the problem has just snowballed. And it's, and the pharmaceutical industry obviously is going to want to keep going with, well, you need a pill.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's what medicine is based on, is you need a pill to fix things. You need a pill or a surgery to fix. But lifestyle medicine is now saying more than that. It's saying you need proper nutrition, you need proper hydration, proper exercise, proper sleep, proper thoughts, proper emotional well-being. And you actually need spirituality and connection in your life in order to be well. So there's this whole host of things that we need in addition to a pill that is just a tool for profit. I mean, if originally nobody made money on pills, I doubt that they would have became as popular as they are.
Yeah, I actually understand that because I know the first person who made the insulin
Yeah.
did that one for nonprofit, but some smart people.
Yes. Yes.
Some
Decided. Yes.
smart people decided that, oh man, this is a big, big, big
Business.
market. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've just read about it like a few months ago, and I was like, because part of my regimen as a diabetic is insulin,
Mm-hmm.
and which is I chose it rather than all the pills that I have to take
Oh,
and
yeah.
overload my organs. So, but we're weaning me. I'm weaning. I'm being weaned by my diet diabetic nurse because I
Mm-hmm.
don't see the doctor, but the diabetic nurse,
Right.
which is I'm going to have to see her on Monday. But I mean, yeah. So okay, making people aware about this thing because I know I've researched. There's so many Facebook groups that are um, about fibromyalgia, and they're actually pretty active.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in some, and then some are really like they really don't understand it and they need help and like they're talking about the meds and everything. So you do have an audience that needs this message. But
Yes.
as I have my question earlier is that how was it making them open their minds, open their hearts of another like another version of reality that they could actually do something about it. They just
Some
have to have
people open to that really easily.
nice.
And I think I probably opened it really easily because I am sort of inclined in that direction. Like the big picture things, the mysteries, unicorns and dragons kind of appeal to me. Like it doesn't have to be hard and scientific and rational for me to find some interest in it. And so a lot of people are going to be like that. They're just going to say, oh, this is possible. So maybe. But other people are going to say, if my doctor didn't say it,
Yeah.
then you're wrong. And I don't care if you're well. If you're well, you never have.
Yeah.
So, and
So
a lot of people will tell me that I was just wrong for 20 years.
just to hold on
I
to the
guess I
belief.
faked for 20 years. Like they don't like to be told themselves that they faked or they're faking today. But if I don't know what I'm talking about now, then clearly I was wrong for 20 years. Oh, well, fortunately, what anybody else thinks of us is none of our business.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, and what I'm hearing is that those who are ready to hear your message,
We'll hear it.
yeah. And
And
I
those who are
know,
not ready, like there's no sense fighting it. there's no sense me saying, like, I can't say you're wrong, I'm right. It's like, well, this is my perspective. And by doing it this way, we have a chance of getting better. By doing nothing, we don't really.
You're still
So,
groggy. You're still in your pain reliever. You're still
yeah. So, it's a choice.
yeah. So
And,
everything I want
and
to
some
hear is
people are just not open to the choice and can't be because their beliefs are such that they simply cannot be. And
yeah.
that's okay because their beliefs are their business.
That's true.
It's like, their opinion of me is not my business. My opinion of what they're going through is not theirs,
That's
unless they
true.
choose to let it be.
And all you're doing is just sharing your truth that it can be healed.
It can be
Right.
healed. Yeah. And it's interesting because I'm working with coaches who are doctors and I'm working with coaches who have a lot of different expertise and healing is it's mainstream now. I mean, we know that we can change the actual biology of our brain. When we start new habits, we create new neural pathways in our brain that make it easier and easier for us to do things a new way. We didn't know that in the 1990s. This stuff is new. So we're finding out now that not only is it possible, but it actually makes physiological sense that we can do these things. So when we're changing our beliefs, we're changing physical structures in our brains that allow us to do things. And we have people like Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza, Greg Braden to thanks for some of that research that they've done. There's a lot of geniuses out there doing a lot of work. And I am a voracious reader
Oh
and
yeah.
course taker.
Oh yeah. I understand that.
Yes.
Well, I was like, oh, going back, and I know it. I don't want to drag this too long, but guys who's watching and who's gonna watch this, I hope you get golden nuggets that Christine has been telling us that even in other diseases, like I mean with diabetes too, I just
Yeah.
love food. People
Yeah.
who knows me knows how I love food. I actually had the opportunity and honor of getting a recipe from around the world. And now it's part of our cooking thing, and I can't even eat so much.
Yes. Yeah.
And so basically, as you said, it's a choice. No matter, I think as a diabetic, I think I was like, bam, it's your choice to not eat healthy. It's your choice not to exercise and move, which is one thing I've thanked Canada for. My mom-in-law really instilled and trained me in walking. Like in the
Yes.
Philippines, there's a car. Like even just a 5 minute walk, we would car it. Here in Canada, I'm actually walking like hours. Like yesterday, I walked like 3.5 hours, just going
Wow.
around and doing chores around the area.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a choice. So if
Mm-hmm.
anybody who's actually could watch this, I hope you heard what I've been hearing. And isn't it true that in any journey that you wanted to go for, be it business, so we have business coach, with the manifest, trying learning the even with Bob Proctor, learning this stuff, it's always nice to have somebody that would guide us, held us accountable, and to really make sure that we're on the right track.
Yes. And if you can have a coach who has already done what it is you're trying to do, and whether that's get healthy for some condition or improve their life in some way, that's a
That's
big deal. That has to have
yeah.
somebody has been, has succeeded where you want to succeed. It's so inspirational and so reassuring to know that you have someone you can just ask questions to and that will get you, you
To
know,
point A to point B.
from point A to point B, and that understands when you're having one of those crappy days, who understands that, sometimes I will have one of those days when I feel like crap and I'm just going to sit down and eat a tub of ice cream. Well, eating a tub of ice cream is not very good for anybody, but it's especially bad if you have IBS and fibromyalgia. However, that's what we do.
There's just something. comforting about a tub of ice
A
cream.
tub of ice cream, yes, a tub of
What's
ice
your
cream.
favorite flavor?
Oh, I varied. Coffee. Coffee is
Yeah,
my
for now it's
favorite.
coffee.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I used to love Rocky Road.
Oh, Rocky Road's pretty good too. Blackberry vanilla is not bad. There's very few that I don't like.
Which is?
There's
Give
very
me one.
few. One that I
Give me
don't
one.
like, pistachio.
Really? I
Cream
love
frosting.
it. They don't, it doesn't have any taste at all, but I kind of love
It's
it.
it's like it's
Anyway,
green. Green
it's
milk.
green. Anyway, oh, we're rambling again. But yeah, so because I said that because I saw in your profile, I think it's your pin post, that you do have working on something, and you have an offer for everyone just for this December. Guys, I
Yes.
just wanna say belated happy birthday again, Christine.
Thank you.
That's a milestone. Like,
It is a
wow.
milestone.
And I hope I'll be able to cross that milestone one day too. Healthy and thriving. Anyway, please tell us about the program that you have been working on and you're offering others, which is actually, as I believe, is in a very steep discount to start their
Yes, it
journey.
is a very deep discount. I'm offering a 6-month membership program, and I have a training program that I have online. It's on the Thinkific platform, and so you can go and you can study the program entirely on your own, but there's live weekly coaching that comes with it. And so every week during this live program, we're going to be going through the lessons and the questions and answers about the lessons live each week. So whoever joins in January will stay throughout the program through the 6 months. Everyone will go together. Where normally you sort of come and go as you please, but this January one, start together, stay together, work through, get to know people, work in community with them. Come to coaching once a week with me, where we'll do questions and answers and exercises about the lessons. And then every 2 weeks, we'll also do healing sessions. And we'll even work on the master magnetic mind recode sessions. I'm going to be throwing those in as well, because that's another very exciting healing technique. So I'm putting it all together into the one program for 6 months and offering it for $2,000. And it's really a priceless program for anybody who has been sick for a long time. And I was sick, work disabled for 20 years. And when I got sick, I was making 50,000. So that's $1 million I lost in earned income. So if you're looking at being sick for a long time, a $2,000 investment is tiny. And there is a 6-month pay option on that available also. And I'm also offering to people who are in my Facebook group an opportunity to do that with a 12-month payment option instead of a 6-month payment. So I'm trying to make this as affordable as possible so that anyone can do it. And most anybody can afford to spend $200 a month to go from having the worst disease they believe you can have to being well and able to work. So that's what I'm offering.
And that's actually very valuable because I think we have, well, in Canada, well, in
Yes,
Canada,
in
at least we
Canada.
do have the health system is pretty nicer than other countries. And we are blessed. I'm blessed to be in this wonderful country. But I know even in our neighbor country, that's not the case. And I'm sure people who have been like the 4% that was in the number of CDC, if only they could hear this and have been suffering for a while, if they really wanted to save on those medications, because I'm sure those medications are not cheap,
No, exactly, exactly.
um, it's a good
And one
thing.
of those meditations can cost you, the price of the program.
Yeah,
So
really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So we are lucky in Canada that we have the medications, but I know in Canada right now, we're also suffering from doctor shortages.
Yeah.
I still happen to be on a wait list for a doctor. My doctor recently moved to Ontario. And so there's only 100,000 people ahead of me on the list.
So
So
if
it's a
you're
good
a
thing I'm feeling
Canadian,
well.
yeah, like I mean, if that's, I think that's the case with anywhere. Like I mean, if I miss, that's why I told my manager, as you know, I'm working at KFC.
Yes.
Instead of just doing the Tuesday walk live, I do not do the live much anymore when I am working there. I told my manager that, hey, can I have the Monday free? Because if I lose this schedule with my diabetic nurse, it's gonna take months again before I get it.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah, that's one thing. And yeah, so anyone, everyone who knows, if you're suffering from fibromyalgia, or you know somebody who is suffering from this, please do share this talk, or even just like Christine, are we going to um post a link in the comments after and
Yes,
then
let's
ask?
post a link and also post a link to join my group because
Oh
I
yeah,
will have a couple live events coming up in my group, free live events in my group. I'm doing one on the solstice. So on the 21st, I'm doing one. And then I'm doing a 4-day one from January 3rd to 6th, just prior to the
all
course
right,
starting.
nice.
So those are free events that your people are certainly welcome to join the group and attend.
Oh yeah, there you go. Like I mean, these are just like valuable value, full of value events that I'm sure anyone and everyone, because if like somebody who maybe they're not diagnosed, but they're
Yes,
always in brain fog, they're always in pain. Because I realized that in the CDC report that people with fibromyalgia is really sensitive to pain than a normal person who doesn't have it. Not normal, but with the person who doesn't
yes.
have it.
Yeah.
So guys,
And
check
pain
your
can come
body.
from all kinds of things. It can be chemical sensitivities that can cause pain. It can be diet sensitivities that cause pain.
Oh wow.
It's not necessarily
Yeah,
that
one
causes us
thing.
pain. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
like
so
a
that's
physical
probably
pain.
why we're so susceptible when we have energy or emotions stuck in us, because our body just can't handle, it doesn't process pain the same way. And so
Hmm.
we feel whatever it is that is trapped in us.
Wow. That would be like, I think it would be an amazing 8 months or 12 months. 8 months, right?
The
8 months.
program
Yeah.
is six. The
six
program is
months.
six, and the payment plans are either 6 months or 12 months. So you pay
There
in
you go.
full. It's cheaper if you pay it in full.
Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, yeah, so anybody in our little audience, I'll make some reels out of it. So at least we could just like spread it out and stuff, which I usually do
sure.
with my chats. Christine, before I let you go, any last message to our friends?
Mm, Thank you for joining us live today, and certainly thank you for watching. I appreciate this, and I appreciate Frances. Frances has become a good friend since we've been in a coaching program together, and she's a delight. I mean, how can you not love Frances? How can you? So yeah, there's help available, and I I do this work because I love it. I feel so blessed to be able to, and I just want to be able to spread the good news and spread the love and have a whole bunch of people healthier and happier than they were before.
Thank you so much. And that's the greatest mission ever. Like what I'm hearing with everybody that I've been talking with, mostly it's not about themselves, but about the impact that
Yeah.
they could actually do for others. And I think that's life, right? Like what can we
Yeah.
leave when we leave? I was just like talking about death, but let's leave it at that. So everybody, we're an hour to the dot. Sometimes we do this like I try to make it to 30 minutes, but sometimes it's just so good and it goes
Yeah.
through, right? Thank you so much, Christine. I hope your time was okay and you enjoyed this talk.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Ah, thank you. So everybody, anyone, everyone who needs this message, please spread it. Or just like send them to Christine's group. I'm gonna put the links in the
Yes.
comment section later. So you could connect with her, ask her questions, literally stalk her. And just like just like, just connect with her because really this silent sufferers don't have to suffer anymore. There's a way, there's help, there's a different different way that what you are hearing. And yeah, maybe your loved ones don't understand you, but there are people that do.
I do. Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, this is one of the Francis Chess sessions with Francis Chess. Christine, thank you again. This has been
Thank you so
fun.
much. Been
And
my
guys,
pleasure.
thank you. Bye, guys. I'm gonna go out now, or else I'm gonna ramble again. Thank you so much, and happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye. And broadcast.